So this assignment that we're going to be doing out on our field trip is on tree architecture and influential factors to growth. So I want to look at what a tree is telling us by how it appears, by its growth characteristics, and also what influences it has had over its lifetime to help us better understand how it's gotten to look this way due to its external factors, the outside conditions that it's growing in. Okay, so that's the goal of that. I'll leave this stuff for you folks to read through as we go. Anyway, what you're going to do is going to give you some UTM coordinates, and you're going to find your way to a location in the forest with a GPS. Once you get there, you're going to have a few trees. Well, actually, it's going to be pretty random. You're going to go to a location in the forest. You're going to find some trees. I like anything to be your subject as long as you photograph them well so I know the subject that you're working with. You're going to locate 3 to 4 trees within that vicinity of the UTM coordinates. And I want you to carefully study how they've grown and interacted with one another over the years. So, photo, lots of pictures here. So, because I need to see what you are looking at when you're doing this. Okay. You're going to find some assessment forms that I'm going to get to later on that you're going to fill out. Along with these forms that are supplied with this package, I want you to prepare a half-page written report, just discussing what it is that you see, telling me in a quick little report, why do these trees grow this way, how are they reacting with one another, what has been the outcome, and what do you expect to be, if you could make a prediction on the future of what it's going to look like or how these trees are going to survive or maybe not survive. Okay, so I'm going to give you a handout further down in this package to show you just, but I want you to do some illustrations just basically on what you find for canopy structure and what it'll look like in the future. Okay, so first of all, within this area, you're going to be looking at a group of trees interacting with one another. Okay, and later on, when we get down to here, you're going to choose one of those trees from the grouping, say this one, and you're looking to look at that individual tree and to discuss the architectural points as far as why it is growing that way. Okay, so there's some paperwork further down. It'll make more sense when you can see that. Information you're going to need for this project. Use Big Blue, the Silvix, okay, or the Silvix handout that I gave you in class. You're going to use that in the Auticology, which is Appendix B, but the Auticology of Ontario tree species, Southern Ontario tree species. So use that. On reserve in the library, I'll leave a book called Forest Stand Dynamics, okay, which is right there. And that, in chapter 3, there's a chapter on tree architecture. Might be worthwhile. There's some good information in there for you to kind of delve into forest growth characteristics and architecture in further detail. Okay, scientific names. Let's get used to using scientific names. That's what I want to see in this report. Only scientific names, please. Images you can do on PowerPoint, or you can scan and hand in the paperwork that I'm giving you, or do it on a tablet, sketch PDF, and send it back to me in D2L. Whatever's convenient, just make sure that it's tidy, that I can kind of understand what's happening there. Okay, and I'll be marking on thoroughness, grammar, spelling, reference quality, and I'll provide some rubric information for you on D2L for that. Okay, so here's the paperwork of things that I want to see. Okay, so on this one, I have part 1. It doesn't matter which one you do. This is the choosing one of those trees from the group that I was telling you about. Okay, what I'm looking for in this is to look at the individual tree, and there's always an explanation or a reason on why the tree is growing the way that it is. So that's what I want to see. Okay, so what I want is 5 features of architectural features to explain why the tree looks the way it does today. Okay, so in the paper version, I'll give you a little example here. Okay, that it'll look, kind of like that, explaining things. But what I want to see from you is in this box provided, if there is a tree that is looking like this, okay, And these are dead branches that I'm trying to pretend to have. Okay, and you've got, say, another tree right here. Okay, so what I would want to see is for you to label things like this, and the lean in here. Okay, and the terminology is going to get really messy here, so I'm not going to get too carried away, but you'll get the picture. Gravomorphic tendency, for instance, as it's leaning away from the other tree, and maybe these lower dead branches were due to side shade or shade tolerance, something like that. Okay, strong X current growth and whatnot. Okay, so I want to see 5 features to explain why this tree looks the way that it does. Okay. Now, some of the terminology I was just giving to you might be new. Some of it should be reviewed depending on what you've kind of done in the past, I guess, but through Tree Sciences and Practices, some of those things would have come up before in some other courses. But anyway, if you are unsure about some of the terminology, here is a list that's going to help with some of the items. Okay, so we'll zoom that in a little bit here. Ooh, there we go. Sorry. Okay. So here's some of the terminology that I would expect for you to use when you're talking about this, the details here of the growth of trees, okay, or the tree architecture. You'll also find this in reference to the lectures, a limitation of growth and tree architecture lectures. Okay, so make sure you're following up on those before you get in the field, and we'll talk about some of these other ones in greater detail, like preformed growth, sustained growth, epinestic control, things like that. Okay, so you'll find that in the lecture material. You'll also find that in the Forest Stand Dynamics readings to give a little bit more background to some of these things. Okay, so there's lots of things to choose from. You're not limited to just the things on this list, but these are all different things to provide you some information on growth characteristics, pan down, different influences of competition. Oops, that wasn't supposed to cross out. I was supposed to circle it. Okay, and then reactions to stress. Okay, so from the competition and things. So with this list of things, you should be able to find lots of things to talk about in that assignment. And this is part 2, depending on how you want to do it, one way or the other, or part 1, whatever. Choose 3 or 4 trees in the area you arrive. So when you got there with your GPS into the area, you're going to find some trees having kind of a cool interaction with one another. Okay, and so what I want you to do is, oops, wrong button, is sketch just roughly what these trees are. Please also make sure you are labeling the species. Again, I'm looking for neatness, and to me, you know, that sort of thing is okay for neatness. But what I need to know is species, because sometimes people just label the trees, and by the time I compare it with photographs, I can't really make out what the heck is going on here. Okay, so a couple a poplar, a couple cedars, maybe something like that. I want to see side view. Okay, and if we scroll to the next box, like so, I want to see the aerial view as well. Okay, so the poplar may look something like that, and that's like we're flying over looking down on the trees. Okay, okay, label again. Okay, and so that's kind of what you are imagining that you're seeing here. Okay, so that's how we look. That is currently what the trees look like today. Okay, next step is give me, based on what you know about the sylvics of these species, their longevity, their shade tolerance, things like that. Give me what you know about that, plus what you would suspect based on the site what these trees will look like in the future. So let's say in 30 years time, how are they going to look? Okay, and this is just based on that sylvics information, what you may expect. Okay. Who knows? Okay, something like that. As long as you can justify through the information you get from the sylvics and the site what this would look like. I totally did that backwards. Sorry, let's start again. I said the names wrong. That's a cedar. And let's say the poplar's getting squeezed out because it's not as long lived, perhaps. Okay, there. And that is where I need the half-page report at the end, so you can kind of explain what this is all about. Okay, because it's one thing for a drawing, but if you can explain to me in the report that this poplar is getting squeezed out by competition because the cedar is getting larger, it's more shade tolerant, the poplar is short-lived, it's limited by that a little amount of sunlight, so if it starts to decline, it gets overtopped perhaps by the cedars. You know, something like that based on what you can find. And I just need that in written form so I know it's what it's all about. Okay, and then same thing as before. There was what it looked like 30 years ago. In 30 years' time, what are those tops going to look like? You know, something like that. There's the poplar. Okay, and you know, again, I might explain that poplar might not have as skinny of a top as that, but this might be due to decline or something. Okay, so just give that information to me in the written report. Okay, next step, once we get that far, you're going to fill out this form as well. Okay, so these are based on depending on how many trees are on your site. Okay, you might have interactions with 3, maybe 4, but you're going to go per form there, and give me again scientific name, and this is information out of your Silvex manual. Okay, Silvex manual is here. Okay, give me the typical age. Don't just make it up. Okay, that information is easily there for you in your Silvex manual. Sprouting ability, because that matters with regen, how well it's going to reproduce or come back, if you will. Moisture requirements, nutrient, all these things. Okay, you can find that in your Silvex manual. What you need to fill out at the site is here. Okay, so this is site information that you need while you're in the field. Okay, you've got, I need to know crown shape, if you see the little asterisk here. Same thing, shoot development. Okay, shoot development down here, right there. I'm looking for, is it a preformed growth or sustained growth? That information again can be found in the lecture. So go back to your notes and look at that to help you decide which species will have what type of growth pattern. Okay, crown shape right here. Look down here, and I'm looking for, is it columnar, conical, flat-shaped, umbrella, vase, what have you. Okay, tell me that there, and that's based on the site. Canopy position is the next one. Is it open grown, dominant, codominant, suppressed, intermediate, understory? The one that I forgot to mention that I should put in would be super canopy or the emergent. I'm not sure if we'll come across that, but you never know. We may come across something that is more of a super canopy like a white pine. Okay, so you could add that one in there too if you want. Strength of epinastic control, side shade, OESWN means open, east, south, west, north. Okay, where is it shaded? Okay, where is it getting sunlight? Okay, that's important because that's going to help us decide future architecture, how that looks. Evidence of gravomorphic tendencies, give me some details if there is. Evidence of branch abrasion, okay, give me some details. You might need to just review what those terms mean, but that should be in the lecture or the handout from previous. Evidence of past broken branches, okay. Give me some information about that, what you see. And then finally, are there epicormic shoots? Is there response for that tree? Okay, so give me that information, please. And that'll fill out that portion. Once you have done all of this work here, again, you'll be collecting the data that you need in the field. Collect lots of photographs so that you can make sure you have some good quality images to submit to me. I need those photographs in order to mark because that's what I'm going to be using. So again, going back to quality, if I can't tell what I'm marking from the photos, it's not going to be reflected very well on your mark. Okay, so anyways, that should be a quick overview. We'll go over some more in the field when we get there. If you have any questions in the meantime, please contact me ahead of time so that I know that you're prepared when we get there. Thanks.